Hi, I'm Jamie Spitali, and I'm doing my Unit 5 assignment on Iron Man from billionaire to superhero, the monomyth, the journey of the hero. So, monomyth from everyday person to superhero. According to Sanders and Van Kraken, the template of the hero's journey is noted in stories from the beginning of time throughout present day, such as the Odyssey, and more current stories such as Iron Man. Sanders and Van Kraken also go further to say that while each story is unique, they are all very similar because the foundations of each story contain a prototypical element referred to as archetypes, which means that they're all typically the same concept, but they may have different plots and different stories. This is evident in just about all modern day superhero films being made in modern time as well. Iron Man was created in a time where terrorism is rampant and it's at the forefront on the news. You hear about it often, bombings in other countries. And during this time, people are looking for a hero to create peace. There is also a need for a hero to speak up about how big corporations are making billions off the sales of weapons of mass destruction that eventually end up in the hands of people who wish to use them for evil. The call to adventure is the first step in the journey of the hero. During the movie, Iron Man, Tony Stark is questioned by a reporter and informed that the weapons his company sells can be used for mass destruction. As you see in the movie, he defends what his company does as noble and helps create peace because peace comes with strength, he says. Now, the refusal of the call. During this interview, he defends his company by reciting how many lives are saved through their other programs that develop medical products. He goes on to say in the movie that his company has helped save millions of lives. This appears to be set from greed because of the amount of money weapons of war can make. It is also said it may also be said from a refusal to believe that he has created something he meant for good to be used for evil. He appears to be a very noble yet naive and arrogant man, which I will discuss later on. Supernatural aid. This is where he gets help from something that no other person could probably ever have, which is said to be supernatural aid. During the movie, he is being escorted by the military, where his convoy is attacked by the very people who want to use his weapons for evil. This happens overseas when he's doing weapons tests. He is kidnapped and taken to a cave where he discovers he has shrapnel that, if not careful, can travel to his heart and kill him. The terrorists want him to create the Iron Man suit in his cave, and they provide him with the materials. Well, they actually want him to create a missile, which he later creates the Iron Man suit in the cave. He uses the materials they provide him. And he also has a gentleman there to help translate conversation between the terrorist and himself. So during this whole process, he develops a device which implanted in his chest to prevent the shrapnel from traveling to his heart, while also creating a prototype of the Iron Man suit under the guise of creating a missile. Crossing the first threshold in the belly of the whale. Once he has made the suit, he escapes captivity and ends up in the desert, where the military later finds him and takes him home. This is one of the first thresholds that he crosses. While in the desert, he appears to have an awakening, which he later expresses in a news conference. During the news conference, he tells the reporters that his company will no longer make and sell these type of weapons. According to Campbell 2008, the belly of the whale is where the superhero undergoes a metamorphosis and separates himself from the old and begins to change the superhero. The road of trails. Campbell suggests during this stage, the hero must undergo a test to make the transformation, which usually happens in threes. During the movie, he perfects the device in his chest and perfects the Iron Man suit. After watching a show, he decides that he must go over there and do something about what his weapons have done. He goes in, he frees the village from the terrorists, and then later, the U.S., they actually send planes after him. And while he is dodging that, trying not to hurt anybody, so a missile is shot off. He evades it, hits another plane. The pilot ejects, and the third thing he did was go and save the pilot. During his transformation, he meets with Penny and realizes his feeling for her, believes her at the party on the balcony to go and be a hero. During the movie, his longtime business partner approaches him and says, Tony, we have to sell these weapons because if not, then we're going to lose billions and we're going to lose lots and lots of investors. This is tempting as money can also be a driving force in decisions. Atonement with the father. In my opinion, the real change happens whenever he finds some old footage of his father who he adored, and then realizes his father built the company for good of the human race and not the destruction of people. During this stage, during the apostasy stage, as Campbell stated, the hero's old person dies and the hero emerges. With this, his partner becomes enraged, goes and steals the little device out of his chest, goes and breaks into his own lab, creates an Iron Man suit, or he gets the Iron Man suit, breaks out, goes and causes mass destruction in the streets, where Tony Stark goes out and fights him to the end. Campbell states the ultimate boon is where the goal of transformation is complete. After his battle in the streets, this is where he becomes a hero and Iron Man is born. The refusal of return is noted in the movie when he decides he does not want to be known as the man who creates weapons, but later wants to be the hero. Tony is an inventor and uses intelligence to create what he calls smart weapons. With this, he becomes a master of two worlds, one where he can create weapons that will help fight evil, which is the Iron Man suit. In conclusion, as he embarks on the hero's journey, he becomes what modern-day society refers to as woke. He realizes how his life accomplishments have done more harm than good and decides to change and uses intelligence for what it is meant to, for what his father intended it to be. He goes from what would call a naive and arrogant man to superhero that is Iron Man. Iron Man resonates with the era it was created, as there's a huge threat of terrorism. People are often looking for a hero to destroy the evil so we can all live in peace.